Alright, let's get started. So we are on the ground at Kilo Mike Fox Victor. No. Victor Fox Mike. There we go. And we have dusted off the old venerable E1000, and we're gonna go take her up to Aspen today. Let me go and grab forward flight here, and let's get rolling. Forward flight grabbed. We're going to be flying a relatively simple route today. It's not too bad. This is the first time I've flown the E1000 in quite some time. But once it gets light out, we're simulating like a 5 a.m. takeoff. So you have like a nice dawn approach in Aspen. So actually, I might let me push that a little bit later, just so we really nail that arrival. Yeah, so I haven't flown the E1000 in quite some time. I've been just hanging out in the Bonanza, doing a lot of low and slow stuff. So let's see if I remember how to do any of this. So I do flight plan, and then I need to hit the cursor button, right? Oh man, this could be, how do I do this again? There we go. Touchscreen, it's always the touchscreen. Okay, so we are starting at KMFR. Oh, I think I threw a Victor in there. I don't know where we are. Oh, whoa. Enter. Whoa. Oh no, does it not work? Oh, this could be terrible. It doesn't seem to have its database. Because if I zoom out, I don't see any things. Ah, nuts. This is like the worst possible situation. Alright, let's see what happens if I do this. I don't think that's gonna fix it. Yeah, it doesn't. Okay, it has is Aspen in there? No. Okay. Let me see. Let me see what I can do here. Alright, let me just hang out outside, getting loud. Just hang out here for a second and let me pull up. See if I can download the right stuff really quickly here. I was so excited, I thought I was all prepped and ready to go. Just not quite yet. That's going. Let me download. Oh man. Alright, well we're just gonna download some stuff, do all this prep that I probably should have done ahead of time. Because that's fun. And in the meantime, we'll just look at this really pretty outside view of the plane. And I'll try and get my data sitch corrected. goodness for quick internet and a fast computer. Got FMS Data Manager downloaded. I think I've got the aircraft back. You can see here. No, it's still downloading. It's almost done now. Alright, updating the X-Plane database. I don't know if that's going to make this thing work. Huh. You know, I wonder if maybe the avionics were updated for X-Plane 11. That's probably what happened. Okay, we're gonna take like a quick, like 30-second break here. I'm gonna reinstall the aircraft, and we're gonna get running for real this time. See ya. Alright, we're back. So, let's go ahead and configure this. We are at Rogue Valley. It's clear. It's 6:15. Need to regenerate the thumbnail there. That's my custom livery. Alright, fingers crossed this all works. And we have navigation data. That would be really lovely. We'll see what happens. And I've also already taken care of filing the flight plan, so hopefully this will be pretty quick departure we can get in the air. That would certainly be nice. Here we go. Cool. I think that's still in my... That's not in my clipboard. Let's go ahead and look that up real quick. Here we go. There's the serial. Excellent. Reload to the current aircraft. Fingers crossed nothing crashes. Man, it's awfully quiet without that lovely turboprop sound. Alright, I think we're almost there. There we go. Cool. Do quick little configs here. That's exactly what I want. I get you all the way up. Just me inside today. Cool. Let's get our battery on, our avionics masters, our fuel pumps. 1, 2, 3 lights here. Boom, boom. This isn't a good sign. Let's see. Flight plan. Zero waypoint. MFR. Nothing. That is not a good sign. Let's see what's going on here. See if there's a plug-in issue. No plug-in issue. Alright. Well, I'll leave you in this external view for now again, and let me do just a little bit of digging here. So we've got the most up-to-date version. Oh, it needs a specific data pack. Okay, well that was an easy troubleshooting, at least. Boy, that's extracting awfully slow. Okay, so that'll take like about a minute, which is fine, I suppose. Man, I didn't think it was going to be such a pain in the butt to get out of here today. Thought this was going to be nice and quick. All right. So that file transfer is going. That looks like it's working there. See if we can find, just making sure that we're good. Okay, so I do need that. Man, the files are it's not like a very big data file, but because it's just a million really tiny small pieces of data, the copy speed is really slow. It's like 500 kilobytes a second, which seems absurdly slow. But I think that's good. So we've got all that stuff. And that'll be done copying in like 30 seconds. And then once that's done, I can run the Navigraph updater. So many moving parts here. But I guess it's good to know that I've got the most up-to-date data. So, once all that's done, we can actually get out of here. So we're going to be, like I said, flying a pretty basic route. But now that we're in the E1000, instead of tooling around in the Bonanza, we can go all the way up to 27,000 feet, which is great. So it'll be about 2.5 hours, all told. And it'll just be a pretty straight shot west to east. We'll sort of come in a little bit higher from the north to avoid a lot of the restricted airspace and the military stuff below. We'll fly sort of north of Salt Lake and then sort of drop in over over the Red Table VOR and just come right in. And this should be really fun because it's really snowy up in Colorado. There's a ton of heavy snow action, which is always fun. Okay, so we are like 30 seconds away from everything being done. I think I can just reload the aircraft and we'll be good to go. We don't have to do a full sim restart, which would be really nice. And while we're here, I'll bring out the old checklist. It's been a while. I mean, the great thing about this type of plane is it's so simple. A lot of engine management stuff and stuff like that is sort of done for you. Okay, let's see what reloading the aircraft does. Fingers crossed. Oh, it crashed. Yeah, I didn't like that. Okay. Well, good news is it doesn't take too long to start up again. There we go. Right. New flight. Double check our options here. Custom livery still exists. Livery. Jesus. That's good. That's good. That's good. This will load in relatively quickly. I think we have ortho out here. So we're basically at the very... We're just, are we technically in California? No, I believe we're in Oregon still. Yeah, but we're just at the very tip, the very bottom of Oregon. So I don't think I have ortho here, but as we go further in towards Salt Lake and Denver, we will have ortho for sure, which is great. Weather at Rogue Valley is winds are 350 at 5 knots, visibility 10, sky clear. Temperature 5, dew point 2, altimeter 3034. A little bit chilly. Aspen is really interesting, so they're reporting IFR conditions. So winds are 360 at 9, gusting 16, visibility 1. Clouds are what? Vertical viz is 600 feet. That's pretty good. And so there's mist and snow and reporting low vis. Temperature -2, dew point -3, altimeter 3000. So it's not actually as cold as I was thinking it might be. But the weather is indeed crappy. Okay, so we don't need to reactivate, so we should just be able to press this and let's go. Let me just go ahead and get our avionics on. Hey, that looks a lot better. Cool. So, flight plan, insert waypoint. That's us. No departure yet, and probably maybe no departure at all. Just go ahead and insert Oscar Echo Delta. Insert airway, it's going to be Victor 122. Terminating at LMT. Thence, just a waypoint there. LKV, these are all VORs that I'm not familiar with. Lakeview, VOR. Then TWF, Twin Falls. After Twin Falls, OCS. Rock Springs. Oh, and after doing that, I definitely turned on that. And then after OCS, I believe that's Red Table. Indeed it is. Cool. And after Red Table, then we go right into Aspen. Let's go ahead and do just a quick gut check here. Yep, that looks like the route. We have sort of this little southeast section, which is relatively small, and then we'll zoom out here. We do that big track east, and then drop down right into Aspen. Our alternate that we filed is Denver off to the east. We can also go into Eagle if need be. Although Denver is definitely a little easier to get into. It also looks like it's a little bit snowier now, so we'll see what it looks like when we get out of here. Cool, and that is our active leg here. Cool, so our avionics are set up now. So, we're going to go ahead and call pre-flight checked. And, yo, what's going on, Cat? So we're going to call pre-flight checked. And we'll just go ahead and do our engine start. It's going to be on the left tank here. Left fuel pump. Cool, make sure all of our levers are where they should be. And make sure our door's closed. And our flags and shocks are removed. And let's get rolling. Cool. Alright, let's get started here. Cool, everything looking pretty good here. Oh, that's definitely a hot start. Oh, the hottest. Jeez, okay. Well, that's not great. I think I did something wrong there. That's fine. Stand by. Fuel auto select will come on
Check
departure.
engine.
Autopilot trim. Pressurized
Check
cabin.
engine.
Taxi lights come on. We'll go ahead and put our pitot and our stall heat on. Let's get our radios up. And finally, connecting to Pilot Edge.
Connected to Pilot Edge.
Wonderful. And at some point, our very fancy overlay should pop up here. And we're more or less ready to go here. That says max ITT on startup is allowed at up to 1,000 for 5 seconds. So I guess that wasn't a hot start. I guess we're good. Only a little bit scary. Get you on. Get you on. Netter can technically come off now, but then it goes on for takeoff. So we'll just keep it on for now. We'll take it off after departure. So, just making sure that I haven't done anything completely backwards here. It's been like maybe 6 months since I've flown in this thing. So really, really excited to jump back into it on Pilot Edge. So let me get my frequencies all set up here. So, we want to talk to ground, which is 121.8. Which we already have in COM2, so we're just going to use the wonderful radio features here. And let me find some paper and a pen, and we'll make sure that we're good to go here. Yeah, so I did, we had like a couple false starts here, Nick, so I think the overlay, it might need a little bit of encouragement. Let me see here. Or, you know what it is, it's probably, more than likely it's, my IP might be a little bit different than it normally is. Oh no, there it goes. See, it just needed me to look at it. Just a little odd. So yeah, now you can see the overlay we've going from MFR to KASE. And so, actually, I don't even know, is Rogue Valley even covered by Pilot Edge? I should probably check that. All the preparation I should have done, I definitely didn't do, and that's fine. Totally fine. Let's see, service area, Yes, it is a towered area covered by Pilot Edge. I love it. It's really cool with the Western expansion, what they've done. There's so many new airports that they've got coverage on, and there's pretty much any type of flight you want to do. Like, this is a really big, long flight, relatively speaking, 2.5 hours at 27,000 feet. And you can totally do it no problem with full coverage, full professional coverage from start to finish, and that's pretty incredible. And then for the little dinky VFR stuff that I love, it's perfect too. You can talk to them, you can not talk to them, but the coverage is always there. Just in case you screw up, right? Alright, let's go ahead and get rolling here. So, we've got ground on COM2. Go ahead and give them a call. Rogue Valley ground, November 401, Tango Sierra with the weather, IFR to Aspen. We'll see how well my route planning.
November 401, Tango Sierra, Medford ground on request number.
So I basically pulled most of my route from a flight from Medford to Denver, because I couldn't really find a lot of examples, really anything
November
on
1,
Aspen.
Tango Sierra, clear to the Aspen Airport, Jackson 1 departure, Rock Valley VOR, then asphalt, maintain 1000, expect flight level 270, 10 minutes after departure, squawk 2514.
Alright, clear to Aspen, Jackson 1 departure, Rock Valley VOR, then as filed. Initial altitude 11,000, we'll expect 270, 10 minutes after departure. Squawk 2514 for November 401 Tango Sierra.
November 1, Tango Sierra, read back correct.
Interesting, didn't get a departure frequency out of there. So, code here is going to be 2514. And we'll go go ahead and go altitude. Cool. And you're gonna be... Actually, you guys can go away for now. I don't need you. We'll set those up as backups in case we want it. And then let's go ahead and add a departure here. So insert departure. Let's see, what are winds again? 350? So we're going to be 3-2. Jackson 1. And I think, yeah. Cool. Nothing else has changed. I will just go ahead and update that in ForeFlight. And we will take a look at the departure plate. Jackson 1 departure. Takeoff runway 32, climb heading 323 to intercept the Rock Valley VOR 153 radial. And then we continue a climb in hold at or above the MEA or MCA for the direction of flight before proceeding on course. And for us, that MEA is going to be 9,000 feet. And we should be able to get up to 9,000 feet pretty darn quickly in this airplane. And we will optimize our departure for climb performance rather than speed. So our initial altitude is 11,000. We'll shoot for that. And our initial climb rate, actually call it 3,000 feet per minute, because we can totally do that no problem. Cool. Medford Ground 401 Tango Sierra is ready for taxi with the weather.
Number 401 Tango Sierra, what's your location?
We're at the west ramp off of Bravo 1.
Number 1 Tango Sierra, runway 32, taxi via Bravo 1, Bravo Alpha.
32 Bravo 1 Bravo Alpha 401 Tango Sierra.
Yeah, give me clearance, United 576, requesting I
Cool.
bar
Here we
to
go.
North Bend.
United 576, Yakima ground on request standby.
It's a fun little jog here. B1, B, and then Alpha. Left-hand turn here. Straight here? Yeah, straight here.
Parking clearance delivery number 893, picking up our IFR from San
Is that
Francisco.
Mike? Okay, this is Bravo 3 off to my
93
right,
Pollock
so we're
Kurtz,
gonna continue.
standby, say equipment suffix.
And then we're gonna make a right-hand turn up ahead.
Slant Lima.
United 576, clear to the North Bend Airport, Chroma 4 departure. Gubs 8 transition, then asphalt, maintain 1000. Expect flight level 220, 10 minutes after departure. Squawk 7441.
Okay, United 576, clear to North Bend. Global for departure, Gubs transition that is filed. Maintain 1000 and squawk 7441.
All the way down to the end here.
United 576, just a correction, maintain 10,000, 10,000.
Okay, affirmative, 10,000.
We're
Squawk 7441,
119.4.
United 576.
United 576, read back correct.
Tower's on comm 1. Go ahead and swap over to him. Alright, that's good to go. Just doing a quick dummy check here, making sure I know what's going on. I don't even have my full throttle installed.
For Terra Europe.
Affirmative, 401 Tango Sierra.
Or 1 Tango Sierra 1350 at 5, runway 32, clear for takeoff.
32, clear for takeoff, Epic 401 Tango Sierra.
United 893, this will
He
be
was
a
really
full round
on
current
the ball
advisory to
there.
copy.
Ready to copy.
Cool, nobody there.
United
Nobody
893, heavy
there.
clear to the San Francisco airport. Meeting 5
Alright.
departure.
What could go wrong?
Final
Flight director on,
transition
yacht
at
amber on.
Foxtrot Alpha, Mike,
Let's go ahead and set
Uniform.
takeoff power and get out of here.
Kilo. And then the Q3 airway to Found. That's Foxtrot Oscar, Whiskey, November, Delta. Direct, Mike, Lima, Bravo, Echo,
Alright,
Charlie.
positive rate. Gear comes up.
Gear up.
Bodega to arrival.
Adjust my power here. Just a
Maintain
little bit.
7,000. Squawk 3306.
Okay, initial heading is 323.
3 heavies cleared to San Francisco Airport made the Mini 5 departure. Falmouth, Quebec 3, Found. Mike Lima Bravo Echo Charlie, Bodega 2, maintain 7,000, squawk 3306.
United 93 heavy, read that correct.
I'm gonna go ahead and engage autopilot. I'm just gonna do a crazy 4,000 feet per minute ascent here.
November 1 Tango Sierra, connect Cascade departure.
Departure 401 Tango Sierra. And departure is 124.3. That's why you didn't give me that frequency, because it's published and there's only one. Deck angle. It's crazy. Oh, I want to... That makes it easier.
Approaching waypoint.
Cascade departure, November 401 Tango Sierra, 4.6 for 11,000.
November 401 Tango Sierra, Cascade departure, radar contact. November 404 Echo Romeo, Tucson approach, squawk 6104 ident.
So, we are not quite at 9,000 feet here. So we're going to go ahead and begin our hold, which is going to be fun to do sort of manually here.
November 4 Echo Romeo, radar contact, maintain VFR,
So
Tucson
I need
altimeter 3006.
to do a left, and then get to and back to 333.
United 1992, Yakima ground on request, standby. November 1 Tango Sierra, connect Seattle Center 121.4.
121.4, 401 Tango Sierra. Seattle Center, Epic 401 Tango Sierra, 10,100 for 11,000 on the hold out of the departure.
November 401 Tango Sierra, Seattle Center, club and maintain flight level 230.
230, 401 Tango Sierra. And then we do a turn back towards, actually we'll just direct that. Set you to nav mode. Seattle Center, Epic 401 Tango Sierra. Just checking, so we're up to above MEA here, so we're allowed to proceed on course now, correct?
1 Tango Sierra, affirmative.
On course for 401 Tango Sierra, I appreciate it. Alright, that's helpful to know. Definitely didn't fly that hold correctly. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. Also, we're clear all the way up.
United 1982, clear to the North Bend Airport, Gromo 4 departure, gap state transition that has found. Maintain 10,000, expect flight level 220. 10 minutes after
240.
departure, squawk 3116.
Well, that's for clarification. Everything's happening so fast in this airplane. I'm not used to this.
Do read back correct.
Alright. So what we're going to do is we're going to fly this heading for now. We're going to intercept our course here. Going to make this our active leg. Or rather, this our active leg. There we go. And then we're just going to turn south to intersect that that flight path here. We get out of plan mode.
United 93, Polyground to runway 2 left, taxi via Tango.
There we go.
Bravo.
You can see that we're flying due south. We're going to intercept that leg, get back on course, and we'll be good to go. Cool. Alright, well all that happened and we didn't die. We didn't do anything terribly wrong. Landing lights can come off. Alright, let me pay attention to the chat right now, because Nick, you've been posting stuff. I've been missing it. Yeah, no, we actually have a few people over, which is great. Our buddy Kat sent some people over our way, which was really appreciated. And for the most part, they're sticking around, which is crazy. So what's the most awesome thing about the plane that I'm flying? Well, the most awesome thing... Oh, I totally missed our, our intercept there. I might get called on that.
November 4 Echo Romeo, enter straight in runway 11 left. Let me know if you prefer to
That's not too bad of a deviation there. We're not pegged or anything, but it's not what I aim for. Okay.
Enter straight in 11 left.
Best thing about this plane, well, like the obvious best thing about this plane is it's damn fast. So it's E1000. It's similar to like a TBM 850. And it's got a giant turboprop engine and configuration here, and so we can go all the way up to 27,000 feet, like a jet airliner would, and we can fly, you know, up to like 260, 270 true, which is pretty quick. And so if I was flying this route from Medford, south of Oregon, to Aspen, Colorado in the Bonanza, that would take like 5 hours, and I'd have to make a stop for fuel. So the great thing about this is I can fly it in one go, 2.5 hours, not too bad, igniter can come off, and certainly don't have to refuel. I think for flight saying I'm going to take about 185 gallons, which is not bad. We've got 300 on board, I believe. So, now that we have a minute to breathe, autopilot's engaged, we're climbing up to 24,000 feet, which I need to confirm that that was correct. I think he might have cleared us all the way up to 27, I just didn't hear it. But I will ask to make sure. Yeah, so I've been neglecting my checklist here, but we haven't done anything too bad. We're alright.
United 93 looks like you've turned right onto Echo St.
So I have not updated the performance profile of this aircraft in ForeFlight since I very first did it. So it's accurate, but it's the basic performance profile. I need to actually go in and do the full customization that you can do now. Because let's see, what do I have? What do I have it set up here? Remember, it was pretty dialed in. Yeah, so I've got all the stuff in here. So I've got the climb airspeed, the climb fuel per hour, the climb rate, cruise speed, cruise fuel. All that good stuff's in there.
Sierra, connect Seattle Center 135.15.
3515 401 Tango Sierra Sol. So the numbers, the last time I checked, were pretty dead on. Seattle Center, Bonanza, or sorry, Epic 401 Tango Sierra, flight level 200.
Number 401 Tango Sierra, Seattle Center, climb and maintain flight level 270.
270 Epic 401 Tango Sierra.
Approaching waypoint.
Hey, didn't even have to ask. It's always great. So yeah, the performance numbers are pretty bang on. I should probably spend some more time tweaking now, because the last time I set that up, that was, I mean, like a year ago, year and a half. So it could be off, but we'll definitely track. So we started with a full tank, which I think is something like 333 gallons. That's easy to find out once we get on the ground. And at 270, two things I want to check. We should be expecting
Approaching waypoint.
a roughly, what is it, 40 knot tailwind. And it's expecting the trip to be 232, 2 hours, 32 minutes. Obviously it'll be a little longer, just given the
Unit 893, again,
departure
it's runway 2A right,
phase.
XAB Alpha.
And it's saying we're going to do 200 gallons. Well, now it's saying 200 gallons. I guess 185 gallons from now is what I'm looking at. So 200 gallons. So once we land, we'll go ahead and just audit that and see how close it was. Because I bet it's pretty spot on, I think. I don't know, it could be completely horribly off and I just have a terrible memory. That's always an option. Also, I can probably speed up here, slash
Approaching
lower
waypoint.
my rate of climb. It's lovely that I can do that rate of climb all the way up here, but it's not necessary. My other favorite thing about this plane is something I can't show you guys until the sun comes up. The livery is awesome. Alright, Nick, let's tackle this. Best way to set up your own streaming setup. So that's a really good question, because that's something that I definitely haven't perfected, because basically my solution was to throw a bunch of money at it via just a bonkers hardware upgrade in the CPU. So I've got a 1800X now that I run with, so I can actually stream and do flight sim stuff on the same computer without it the performance being completely crap. Because what are we doing right now? I mean, there's nothing going on, but I've got it capped out at 60 frames, so we're doing 44 or whatever, which is great at 1080p.
Approaching waypoint.
So I mean, yeah, like if you can't get just like a really baller system
Rubber 4
that has a
area
lot
marker.
of CPU cycles to spare,
Rubber taxi Atlantic
then
via
honestly, like,
Alpha,
the easiest thing to do is
servicing.
just if you have like an old computer lying around, or if you want to buy like some old server hardware or something like that that has some decent CPU, then that's a really great way to do sort of second or dual system streaming, right? So you have a second box that just takes care of all the streaming stuff and offloading it from your main computer. And that's probably the easiest way to get it done. You can use something, you know, as simple as like an HD60 to capture it. The Blackmagic capture cards are not bad, and then if you want to get a little bit more spendy, the Epiphan stuff or the Aja UTAP are all really fantastic capture options. And there's a lot of stuff you can do. But yeah, I was originally using my
Approaching waypoint.
pretty terrible these days MacBook Pro to do streaming, and basically it couldn't keep up. Even at like 720p 30, it got to the point where it was just not running so smoothly, and I'm not sure why. I don't know if that was because it seems like the performance got worse over time, but yeah, so it wouldn't keep up. So I got frustrated enough that I was just like, okay, I'm gonna pop a new CPU and the gaming rig, and now I can do 1080 at 60, and I still have, you know, maxing out at like 30% CPU utilization, so I have a lot of margin there, which is really great. Alright, so I'm just going to keep it in high performance mode. Theoretically, once you're up in cruise, I think you can take it all the way down to, I don't think you can take it down that far, but you can take it to like 1500 ripms. Or maybe even as far as like 1200. But from what I read, because I read when I first got this, I read a lot about like the test flights and people actually getting some real hands-on experience.
Heavy, Port Ontario, wind 180,
And the manufacturer is basically like,
right to perfect takeoff.
you put the prop handle all the way forward and you leave it there. And I can work with that. And you basically put the power lever all the way forward as long as you're not torque or temperature limited, and you leave it there. Oh, you know what? You know what happened? When I reloaded the airplane, I didn't reload the fuel. So that's gonna be fun. So we're gonna see. Maybe I should be trying to do an econ cruise here. I might just cheat if we're definitely going to run into fuel issues. So cheating is going to happen. And that's just a fact. I'm going to swap on the right tank. The auto select is on, but should be on the right tank now. But this is great. So our true air speed's actually higher than I thought it was going to be. We're at 295. And we've got that really nice 40 knot tailwind helping us out. So we're doing 340 over the ground, which is
Number 6182 Golf.
crazy. That's like 2.5, 3 times what I'm used to in the Bonanza.
Skyline 82 Squawk 6311 IDEN.
I can get it way lower than, so okay. So I'll go ahead and put it at, dial it all the way back to 1200. I think there is like actually like a technique for, maybe I'll just do 14. There's like a technique for like maximizing the power output. I think you're looking for like peak torque or something like that. Let's try 14 and see what that does. So obviously that brought up our torque a little bit.
United 893 Heavy Connect. Departure 18.1.
And then in terms of fuel flow, what are we doing here? There's pressure. Where's fuel flow? 52 gallons per minute. Or gallons per hour. 52 gallons per minute would be pretty insane. Well, let's see. What am I expecting based on what I set up here for a performance profile? I am expecting a cruise of 60, gallons per hour. So that's pretty close. Cool.
United 893 Portland departure, radar contact. Climb and maintain 15,000.
So we're just leaving Lake Klamath. All these places I cannot pronounce. And we're heading over to the Lakeview VOR. And so once the sun comes up, we should be able to see some pretty cool scenery, and eventually some ortho, which is great.
Correction 3018.
Okay, so you, pull props, pull torque, more speed, less fuel burn. Usually run 1300. I like that. Okay, cool. That's good to know. I can't really remember what I used to do. I want to say that I used to hang out at a 1400 or just full. But yeah, I remember reading, the test flights, and they were just like full performance. Cruise, burn all the fuel.
Taxi via Alpha, cross runway 22 at Alpha.
Which I guess sometimes is fun. But then other times you forget to load the fuel when you reload the airplane, and an econ cruise is actually really appreciated. But yeah, this is great. We're under 50 gallons per hour, and we're doing 326 true. So I really cannot complain. Ooh, dim the lights a little bit. This is a great airplane though. I remember when this first came out. I think this was the first thing I got from Arabesque. So there's this, and then they came out with the Epic Victory, which is basically this, but in a jet. And the avionics system was just such a departure from pretty much anything else that had been out for X-Plane. You've got the G1000 stuff from Carenado, which is a pretty poor implementation. And then you've got the default 430s and the 530s with X-Plane that are not bad by any stretch of the imagination. but you know, certainly not perfect. And it's really lovely to have, you know, a really robust flight planning tool and being able to actually put in approaches and departures and airways and stuff like that, and not have to be flying a 737 in order to get that capability. So it's been really cool to see what Aerobasc has done, and the twin that they just put out and the other smaller jet that they've got out are both really wonderful aircraft and really good evolutions. Like, you know, it hasn't just been the same system sort of bolted in. They've done some really good updates. So you've got like really cool avionics packages that live down here that give you some extra functionality and extra control. Aerobasc is just, they're definitely one of my favorite. Like, I like flying Bonanzas and Cessnas and smaller planes because those are planes that I can actually get into in real life. But man, the Aerobasc stuff, the quality level on it is really high. And it's a lot of fun to fly stuff like that. And I definitely would love the opportunity to actually get in some of these aircraft in real life. So I gotta go to more air shows. I gotta figure out a way to be a little bit more involved in that community, because that would be so much fun.
United 893 Heavy, contact Seattle Center 128.15.
So we're about halfway to Lakeview now, which is great.
American 250, radar contact 13 miles southeast of the Liberal VOR, and are you going to remain at flight level 300? You want to climb to 360?
Everything's looking good except for my fuel levels, which I really biffed badly.
American 250, roger, clear the Eagle Airport DAS file to maintain flight
But
level 300.
I'm interested to see how far it gets me. I mean, I suppose I know in theory I've got like 2.5 hours at the current fuel flow, so theoretically that'll get me there with enough margin. Not I don't think legal margin. I don't think that's legally I'll have enough reserve, but that's, I won't tell Keith, and nobody will be the wiser. I'll fill out a NASA report afterwards. How about that?
United 1992, Yankee Matera, runway 27, clear for takeoff.
Ooh, there's a little stutter there. That scared me. The audio cut out. It's one of the things that's fun about, or not necessarily fun, but I guess kind of stressful or different about simming is like the crashes are really scary. Because like in a regular game, you know, a typical match, unless you're doing something like more hardcore Arma or something else that's sort of sim-like, you know, you're just playing something for a few minutes, and if the game crashes, it's not the biggest thing in the world. But man, when the sim crashes, that's zero fun at all. Anyways, going back to that question that Nick asked, I hope that was a good answer. I think that the cheapest option is using old hardware to dual system stream, because capture cards like the HD60 are crazy cheap and crazy good for the most part. I definitely never had any issues with my HD60, and you can get those new for not too much money and used for super cheap. But I love talking about streaming and hardware and all that jazz. Nick, I'm really excited to talk to you and do that write-up on the wireless DMX thing.
Denver's correction Delta Yankee Center, squawk 2314.
So we ended up getting in from Florida last night at maybe like 1 in the morning, and so I was super tired, so I didn't end up setting up a demo for the team today. But I did pull a little bit of hardware and bring it home. So I've got my like nice big medium-sized Pelican briefcase, and I've got it loaded up with all the hardware I need. I also ordered a couple, because the DMX dimmer pack that I currently have, the spare 6-channel one, is designed for incandescent, so I bought a bunch of basically like dummy load adapters they've got a male Edison plug on one end and a female Edison plug on the other, and they just take up the I don't know exactly how it works, but they're like dummy loads, so that they make the LED stuff dim a little bit better. to be less flickery on the low end. So I got to test that out.
Okay, again, the frequency is 128.15.
But theoretically, I have all the components I need now for my on-location
128.15.
wireless DMX setup, which is pretty cool, because not counting my Florida trip, because that doesn't count, but like not counting that was like a 48-hour implementation period, which is really exciting. It's really cool to go from like idea to execution really, really quickly. So for all those people that are wondering what I'm talking about, so I do production. I'm a creative director and a producer, and one of the cool things that we can do these days is we can actually control and it sounds so cool to us, but it's like what everyone else has already been doing for like a couple years. You know, like with smart lights, you can control that stuff from, you know, your iPhone or whatever. But doing that with professional lights has always been, you know, it's been possible over the past few years, but it's been really, really expensive. But nowadays you can pick up a few different devices and sort of build your own little system. And so you can do these really complex, really cool productions with all these different lighting things, and you can control it from an iPad mini, and it's awesome. So everyone's had, you know, Philips Hues and all that stuff for a little while, and that sort of technology is, we've always had control systems, but they've always been very expensive, and most of it's been wired. So really, really cool to start bringing that to set, especially for the kind of commercial work that we do. So Nick and I, we're going to have to play with that at some point. Going to do a full write-up later this week, test everything out, get it in the studio. The only issue that I've run into, Nick, and I actually, maybe you might have some answers to this. So I noticed that when I was running some really complex queues, and I was sending a lot of commands at once, I ended up freezing out something. I don't know if it was the dimmer, I don't know if it was the DMX interface, and I kind of suspect, I don't know, you know, the lowest quality item in the chain right now is that like mini wireless router. So I wonder if I might have like clogged that up by sending too much stuff, but that at the same time that it seems like the most likely culprit because it's the least quality component, but it's also doing like the least amount of work, so I don't know. But I was basically running a lot of oscillators on the lights and just nuking my studio and all this crazy pattern stuff, and it just froze out on me. It was like, no. You're asking me to do way too much. And that's probably fair, because the dimmers that we're using are not particularly fancy. But, yeah, that's a good question. Although, you know, the crazy thing is that you can control, you know, multiple universes and stuff from that app, and I know that people run huge shows off them. But at the same time, for the most part, when they're doing that, stuff is like static. They're not sending and receiving, or not. They're not receiving. Well, I guess sometimes they're receiving, but they're not really sending a lot of different commands. Oh, okay. That's good to know. That's probably exactly what it was then. I didn't realize there was that limit. See, I haven't done a lot of reading on the actual communication spec, which I probably should. I was just like, I want to do this. What do I need to get it done? But yeah, I should do a deep dive on ArtNet and learn a little bit more.
November 50600 Tango, direct current, Roger, standby.
But yeah, that was really, really cool. And the next thing I want to do is I just want to like rent just a really awesome moving head, and like I definitely want to play around with it at home, because man, that would be fun. But just putting it in the studio and just seeing what we can do.
Connect Seattle Center on 128.15.
Because it's pretty fantastic. Yeah, no, okay, that's good to know.
Connect Seattle Center 135.45.
Yeah, I bet you're right. If there's that limit on ArtNet, then I can easily see how if you're like essentially running a bunch of, because like it's not like in a moving head where you might be selecting via DMX like run pattern 1 or run pattern 2. I was actually using built-in dimming oscillators. And so I was running 12 lights all on different oscillation patterns, and so they're
576,
constantly sending out
takeoff.
different dimming commands. So I would put money on that being the bottleneck there.
United 93 Seattle
Oh, we're
Center,
doing great
contact
on
level
fuel.
330.
Still holding steady under 50 gallons per hour. Starting to get a
United
little
00
daylight.
Tango, what's your destination?
Alright, I'm just gonna swap out to an outside view. Might get a little loud here for a second. Oh, we still can't quite see it. It is my favorite part of the plane though, is that custom livery. We'll look at that again in a minute, once it gets a little lighter out.
1.3, squawk 5031.
So Nick, I'm really interested. I'm wondering if you have any other like experimentation ideas for this setup. Because now we have like all this hardware to do a lot of cool stuff, but like what can we actually accomplish with it? Because as cool as it is to sort of run like a commercial set off it or like do interviews with it, I would love some like really out of the box ideas. We don't, it's not spec work, but we have we're doing like our annual holiday video, and so we had a quick brainstorm about that today, just trying to figure out what crazy thing we were gonna do. And I would love to incorporate, right?
United 576 connection.
You know what I would actually love to do, which is something I've been talking about with some of our internal DPs and stuff, is poor man's process. Right? So for everyone watching, this is either going to be like terribly boring or confusing or maybe fascinating, hopefully fascinating, because I'm just going to talk about production stuff for a little while. So we'll explain this. So a process trailer is a really low-slung truck bed, like a long trailer that's used in the motion picture industry. And so you drive a car up onto it, and that's how, if you need to get like a real background for a driving shot, you can actually just pull the car on this really low-slung trailer around town. And because it's on a trailer, you don't have to worry about your actors, you know, actually having to drive, and you can do a bunch of rigging to the car that would be super safe.
8.05.
12805 for 401 Tango Sierra. And so it's a really safe way to do it. Seattle Center 401 Tango Sierra 270.
Remember 401 Tango Sierra, Salt Lake Center, roger.
And so with the process trailer, that's like one of the ways of doing it. You can also do that with green screen. You can also actually have your talent drive the car around. There's a bunch of different ways to do it. But there's this technique called poor man's process. And so instead of actually having this really expensive trailer set up and dragging this car around, you actually just have the car on the ground. Hopefully you've got sort of like a good practical background, or you know, maybe more likely you're using a green screen background. So, but what you do to sort of fake the motion, besides sort of shaking the car a little bit sometimes, which is always fun to watch from behind the scenes, because it's literally just guys pushing on the car. But you can put like light stands on like or lights on like rotating stands and stuff like that to make it look like the car's driving through, and you're seeing like the reflection of street lights sort of move across the windows, so you get that sort of impression. And you can do really cool things, like if you're moving in a tunnel, you might have this really fast, really complex sort of chase sequence that you've programmed in with the lights to go bang, 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 to make it look like the car's moving through it. And then a really cool popular technique right now is actually using LED screens that you might find at like a big conference or an event, like those really big LED screens, using some of those panels to create strips around the car, and then actually filming background plates and then playing it back on those screens, so you see the reflections on the windows of the car, and so you get those really correct reflections at the right speed. But you don't need to do any sort of like actual lighting. All this to say is that now that we have this really cool iPad-based way of controlling light, it would be really awesome to do like poor man's process, because you could program those lights pretty easily, and you could even do it with like a moving head, right? So
Airport
instead
you can
of
expect that in a few miles.
the really poor man's process way of like sticking a light on a stand, loosening the stand enough that it rotates and just sort of manually rotating it around, building yourself a little light carousel, you could just rent a really cool theatrical moving head and have the head do all the movements. And that would be really cool. But yes, the LED screen stuff is really fascinating. I think they first used it sort of at scale on House of Cards. And then they've done it on much bigger scales for different things. I think I'll have to find some links to it, but there's some really cool companies that just specialize in that, and it's mind-blowing stuff. It's super high-resolution footage, super pixel-dense displays, and you can really do magical stuff with it. There's a Tom Cruise movie, like a science fiction movie, where his like house was like super high in the sky, and because that set was all glass, it was going to be a real pain in the butt to do green screen, because they would have to manually frame by frame sort of adjust and tweak and paint out all the green reflections and the green spill. And so they ended up just wrapping it. I can't remember if it was LED wall or if it was projection based, but they basically just wrapped it in a giant screen, and that was primarily how they lit it too, just that screen, which is really, really cool. And they did some similar stuff with gravity and stuff like that to get the lighting feeling really authentic and to get those reflections, and it's really cool stuff. Anyways, but yeah, I would love to do like a poor man's process thing now that we have this cool way of controlling lights. But you could do so much. I mean, you could do, you know, with this you can control not just, you know, dimmers and intensity and color and stuff like that, but you can control gobos, you can control the pan and tilt and rotation on a head. There's a lot of really cool stuff you could do. You know, we could even do something like crazy, like design like a little like play and use our studio sort of like a black box theater, and we could do like a oneer, and we could do like a one take thing that just used like different lighting cues or something. I've always wanted to do that. Like, you see those commercials or videos where they're done in like a really big hangar or something like that, and it's just one continuous shot moving from scene to scene. It'd be really cool to do that on like a smaller scale maybe. Anyways, but that's super nerdy stuff. But I'm really grateful that my job lets me do that super nerdy stuff, because it's the coolest stuff in the world to do. Sunlight's coming up. This is definitely not Ortho. Still looks pleasant.
93 Seattle Center, Roger.
We'll get to the Ortho in a bit. We're not too far off from it.
Fuel tank switched.
But I think it is light enough that I can maybe show off the livery in all of its full glory. Yeah.
American 188 Greater and Kremlin.
That is my wonderful custom. I don't know, some people probably think it's extremely garish, and that's correct. It is absolutely garish. But I love it. It's black and red, razzle dazzle camo. And I just think it's the coolest thing ever. I gotta do... I forgot how much I missed it. But, yeah, that was a fun paint to design and implement. I gotta do that for the Bonanza too, and some of the other stuff I fly. I don't know, if there's anyone watching that has something that they would love to nerd out on and talk about, you're more than welcome to take over chat and do so. Because I feel like I just talk my butt off about some stuff that's really not relevant to probably anyone else. which is okay. This is why I like simming. I get a little bit of time to think about work and stuff that's going on. Because we, you know, in production, you're sort of in the problem-solving business. You know, a lot of what we do, or a lot of what I do sort of day-to-day is like more marketing-y stuff, which is fun in its own way. But when we actually get to do the production stuff, That's really where it's at, because you're basically getting paid to come up with really cool ideas and implement them. And then on set, it never actually goes the way that you plan. So it's all about troubleshooting and figuring out creative approaches to different problems, because you always run into problems. It's not as crazy as live TV. I used to work for ESPN and do a lot of that kind of stuff, and that's definitely on the higher end of the spectrum in terms of stress, although it is fun in its own way. But yeah, I really like that ability to troubleshoot and figure out creative solutions to things. Because very rarely does something not go wrong. Something almost always goes wrong, and then very rarely is it ever actually like okay to fail. So when you have those two things kind of intersecting, you end up doing some pretty creative, cool stuff. There's a lot of bodging together of different things that happens, and there's also a lot of really cool, like sort of like creative high-end stuff that happens too. And in the film industry, I think the people that are actually building the gear and those manufacturers, I think, are just as creative as the people actually making the content, which is cool. Oh man, getting tired. Today was a long day. Got in last night around midnight. No, 1 a.m. Well, landed at midnight. Got home around 1 a.m. That was a fun trip. Nick, I don't know if I've talked too much about that, but we went down to Pensacola, Florida to shoot a case study. And I got the tiniest bit of beach time, but that was definitely good enough. But we had really a lot of fun. We worked with a local gaffer who did a pretty baller job at lighting our different scenes, and we ended up spending our entire second day just getting scenics. So doing a lot of drone stuff, hanging out on the beach, hanging out in a couple of the different sort of rivery, lakey bits out there. Really, really beautiful place. And I haven't been to Pensacola in forever. Since I was like a little kid, I saw the Blue Angels there, and I was so bummed because last weekend, like just I think like 4 days before we shipped out there, they had their big homecoming show, because that's actually where the Blue Angels are based, in Pensacola, at the Naval Air Station, I believe, there. And our hotel was right on the beach, right where they do a lot of their practices and they do the big shows. And I was really looking forward to being able to hopefully get a glimpse. No such luck, so I'll have to go back another time. But that was a pretty fun trip, all told. One of those trips where everything comes together at the last minute, but it all sort of works out, which is great. I think that's kind of the moral of the story. Everything usually works out. I don't think I've been on a project where like something just completely went tits up and nothing worked. As long as you leave happy, I think it's a pretty successful shoot. So we have burned up quite a bit of space, and my overlay died. Why did my overlay die? I just saw that go away on the program monitor there. That's no fun. Hey, it's back. Not sure why that happened, but that's okay. Cruising right along here. Man, even, 2.5 hours, even though it's a lot shorter than it would be in the Bonanza, it's still a longer flight than I used to, usually do. Big fan of half-hour trips. Half hour to an hour, that's sort of, it's a good limit. Just had a little weather update there, I think. Yeah, so we've got a nice tailwind, but we also have a pretty solid crosswind. Rear left quartering crosswind. I'm trying to think if there are any systems I don't need now. No, I think we're still configured just fine. I think we're gonna make it in just by the skin of our teeth here, fuel-wise. Looks like the snow's going away in Aspen though, which is, I suppose, nice for us because we'll actually be able to get in. A little bit less fun, but that's okay. I mean, it's still very much IFR. They're reporting few clouds at 15, overcast 2500, light snow. And it's cooled down a little bit. Temperatures -3, dew points -6. I don't know if I mentioned it. 2 miles of visibility. That's a pretty big storm system out in the Midwest. Pretty far reaching, all the way from, like, what is that? Pueblo?
3250,
Which is Colorado, all the way to the northeast. There's even stuff just like southeast of, or southwest of Green Bay. I do miss the storm systems in the Midwest. There's a lot of really good stuff there. Now we get nor'easters, which they're still a lot of fun, but they're not, I like organized fronts and just like really strong lines of storms. Those are a lot more fun in my mind. Be excited once we get into the approach phase here. Get fixing to land. We'll see how well I do this one. We'll probably do an hour and a half or something in. Maybe we'll do a visual if we've got enough of the ground in sight. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, I'm gonna read a. No, I'm not gonna read it out loud, but I'm reading a Keith story on Discord. This looks like a really, really good one. This is great. So he's flying, and he got in a situation where he was trying to check the weather on an airport, and it was too busy to talk to New York. So he used flight service, and nobody ever uses flight service anymore, right? So apparently they were very excited to talk to them. That's hilarious. And because no one ever talks to them, they proceeded to tell every single potentially relevant weather-related fact to him over the radio, which is really cool. But that's actually really neat. I didn't know that you can transmit audio over the VOR. I mean, that makes sense. I just didn't know that that was done. Some fancy, not fancy actually, it's some very old school technology, but it's cool to see it in practice. It's neat stuff.
American 188, connect Denver Center 133.52.
So let's see, it's 12:30 right now. We've got about an hour and a half. I think we're gonna do it again. So like one of the last late night flights that I did, we snuck in. Oh, it might have been even to Aspen too. We snuck in wherever our destination was right before Pilot Edge shut down.
American 188, roger.
And I think we're gonna do the same thing again, which works for me. Still not in ortho coverage yet. And after all that trouble I went to update my orthos for, where is that? For Idaho, right? Keith was doing some really cool backcountry stuff in the sim. And someone had mentioned that they had built a bunch of really awesome mesh tweaks and stuff for that area. So I spent way too much time rebuilding a bunch of ortho and adding some new stuff and integrating different meshes and making a lot of mistakes. And now I have some really excellent ortho scenery to do some more backcountry flying down there, which I will hopefully be able to do tomorrow. I think I'll spend some more time doing this. As much as I love just sitting up here shooting the breeze, the low altitude, mountainous backcountry flying is really, really exciting. That's the kind of stuff that I really rarely get to do in real life, but really love. And would really, that's the reason why I'd like to get my ticket eventually, working on that slowly but surely, to do backcountry stuff, because backcountry is so much fun. The only problem with backcountry is that at some point I'm going to have to learn to enjoy tail draggers. And I really, I don't know. I like my gear in the tricycle configuration. I'm not super into the tail draggers. They look really cool. They just seem like a really big pain in the butt to actually fly with. But I know some people love them. And I suppose I'm tall enough that it wouldn't be the worst experience in the world. I feel like for a short person, tail draggers would be even less of an enjoyable experience. Oh man, it is cold. Went from 75 degrees and sunny in Florida to 40 degrees, 38 degrees and cloudy and rainy and crappy.
American
Sad.
188 descent at Palace discretion, maintain flight level 270.
But that's okay. I generally speaking, I like the cold weather, but it is always really difficult to make one of those transitions where you go from somewhere like California or Florida and it's really lovely out and then you head back and it's just sad.
Skyline 8 to Golf advise you have the Reading weather. Skyline 8 to Golf, Roger, squawk and maintain VFR. Radar service terminated, frequency change approved.
Woof, I am sleepy. Nick, what have you been working on lately? So tell me more about the WebSocket stuff you were doing today, because that sounded really interesting, because that's something that, of course, I've encountered, but also know nothing about. If you're still watching, I want to chat about that. See if I can bring you up on Slack. Maybe not.
Radar at 893, connect Oakland Center 134.907. Yeah, 893, Oakland Center, roger.
Alright. Still no ortho. Not quite there yet. We're approaching Twin Falls.
You're at 893, roger. Are you gonna disconnect or are you just gonna pause?
We're, what are we? Like 80 miles south of Boise?
You're at 893, roger. If it's gonna be that
never
long,
fly over here.
you probably need to disconnect, so go ahead and disconnect. If if that's what you want to do, and you can reconnect back in the air once you're back.
Man, this is so weird. We're so up high. I'm so used to having to like plan around terrain and stuff like that, and plan around airspace. And it's just no, you're up high. You got nothing to worry about, really.
November 1 Tango Sierra
making
connects Salt Lake Center 118.05.
118.05 401 Tango Sierra Salt Lake. All you got to do is frequency changes for the most part. Do you say Denver Center? Is that right? I don't even know if that's correct right now.
American 188 connects Denver Center 128.65.
No, we're still, yeah, no, this is all Denver Center. Or Salt Lake, wait, what? What am I thinking? Where's Salt Lake? Yeah, okay. Salt Lake Center, Epic 401, Tango Sierra 270.
November 401 Tango Sierra Salt Lake Center, roger.
Yeah, we're way far away from Denver Center. That's how far away.
American 188 Denver Center, roger.
Yeah, okay. I know where I'm at, right? Surely I know where I'm
descent
at.
and maintain 16,000, equal altimeter 3008.
Oh, it looks like there's someone else. Sounds like there's someone else hanging out in the Aspen area. Oh, this is nice to be back in this plane, though. As boring as the en route stuff is, this plane is a lot of fun to fly, especially departures and arrivals. Just because, I mean, I guess a lot of people like flying the heavy iron in the sim, but I love smaller little planes, and this guy is such a handful. Like a handful for me. So like it's not like the MU2 or something like that where like it's actively trying to kill you all the time. Like this plane is relatively gentle in that way, but it can go really, really fast, and if you're not paying attention you can get really, really behind the airplane and really make some really fun mistakes that lead to some really fun corrections
American
by your
250
friendly
connect
neighborhood
Denver Center
ATC.
132.85.
So it really helps you sort of reinforce the idea of briefing things and knowing exactly what you're going to do, because you don't really have time to sort of make it up as you go. And that is a valuable thing to remember for sure. But I did buy the Twin, but I don't think I actually have that installed on this version of X-Plane. So I gotta, or on this particular install. So I gotta do that and mess around with that. It's a weird looking plane, but it's really cool. It's the V-Flight Twin, I think. It's got the really nice swept back wings and the engines mounted backwards. I'll look it up and see if I actually have
American
it.
250 Denver Center, roger.
Oh, there's an update to the Panthera. Excellent. We'll have to check out that. Oh, and I do need to get the new Piper that V-Flight put out, because that looks really, really good. That looks like a plane that I could really get into. There's actually a lot of really good stuff out right now. So I just got the A2A and the Reality Expansion Pack, or the RUP Super Cub. And man, that thing's a lot of fun to fly. That's one of the things that I was, one of the planes I was doing the backcountry stuff in.
10,000, northbound altimeter 3036.
That is a ton of fun. I don't know why I was saying V-Flight. I was confusing the publisher. So Velocity V-Twin is the Aerobas twin that just came out. And it looks really funky, but the avionics are
American 250
really
descent
cool.
and maintain flight
I
level
love the
270.
canard on the front too. It looks like a very fast, very quick plane.
Dragon 250, connect Denver Center 128.65.
Actually, you know, that would really be fun. I think, you know, a couple weeks ago I was doing a lot of, flying a lot of the military, the visual training routes. Doing some stuff south of Seattle, which is really, really fun. And doing one of the routes in Southern California down to through Nevada and like into like
you have the weather at
Arizona.
Eagle, and you can expect LDA DME running 25 approach.
And it was really, really, really fun. And then so I was doing that in like the stock F4, which is obviously a really cool experience. But I think even in something like this twin, that could be really fun, potentially. Or at least that type of flying would be really fun. You can definitely get away with that in the Epic. In the Bonanza, you have to get in some really tight spots in order to get that sort of same feeling. Doing that nap of Earth flying is really, really exciting when you're doing that at high speed. When you're in the Bonanza, you're just trying to make sure you have enough climb performance to get out of the valley. I've only failed on that one time. I was doing that recently, actually. Was trying to see how far I could push myself up into this box canyon, and basically just ended up at almost like 0 forward speed at like a 5 feet per minute descent, and just, I'm gonna say, landed on the side of a mountain. Yeah, I definitely, as soon as I landed, I definitely tumbled down the rest. So that would not have been a fun ending IRL. But there's a lot of, man, there's so many good planes out there now for especially the smaller planes. And X-Plane has always had like a really good variety of paid and freeware stuff, especially like the bigger planes, but now we're seeing just so much attention to detail on the smaller stuff, which is really cool. And I think things like Pilot Edge are probably at least partially responsible for that, because it's just so much more interesting to fly VFR and shorter IFR flights now when you have the fidelity of control that you can get with something like Pilot Edge. Because it's just so much different than something like VATSIM. And I loved VATSIM, but basically you had to fly a fast jet in order to actually sort of get the most out of it. And like the second you started flying shorter IFR stuff, or you started flying VFR, like nobody flew VFR in VATSIM. And like everyone would get confused and it would be weird. But now VFR is like one of my favorite things to do on Pilot Edge. Oh yeah, man, there's so much really, really good stuff.
Seattle Center, roger, advance. You have the weather at northbound, say approach request.
Let's take a look at some of this stuff I have, but some of these new planes out there just look really fantastic. And the avionics systems are all getting better. I don't know if there's been any really updates with what Carenata has been doing. I think it's still sort of the same.
Expect VR, DME runway 4 approach, and D1 projector turn
which is definitely disappointing. I would love to see Carenata spend a little bit more time upgrading their avionics package to something a little bit more capable.
Proceed X zoom or when able.
But it is nice that they support the Reality XP stuff, which I haven't really played around with. That stuff's good. Alright, so we are just getting over Twin Falls. And we're going to start slowly turning south here.
And United 1982, just to verify, are you GPS capable? Are you able to direct zoom, or do you want to intercept the radio instead?
I'm going to see if I can get a shortcut here. I'm going to see if I can go direct to Red Table to save myself a little bit of time, a little bit of gas. We're still doing pretty good here. Still got 100 gallons.
Okay, United 1982, flight 8230.
We're doing 380 over the ground, which is pretty incredible, all things considered. I don't believe that the fuel auto select is actually working though, because Because in my mind, we should be on the right tank. Just gonna manually pop it over. See what happens there. Not a lot of interesting terrain over here.
Turn right heading 270 now.
Some kind of interesting stuff
United
over
57067, Palace discretion, maintain 10,000, northbound altimeter 3036. American 250, advise you got 1 Eagle, expect LDAD me running 25.
Something I can do, let's just see if we've gotten an update for the weather. We have, weather has improved. Visibility is up from 2 to 3. Clouds are a little bit of the same. Few, well, I guess it's a little bit better, so few at 1500, overcast 3200. So that's cool. So, but let's start thinking about approaches
American
here.
188, connect Eagle Tower 100.8.
So, there's a lot of stuff we can do here. I think our A plan is, as long as the weather keeps trending positive,
American
is
188,
to
Eagle
do the
Tower,
visual.
report to Washi.
Because that's honestly the thing that I need the most practice doing.
United
Because the last
576,
couple
connect Seattle
times,
Center 121.4.
I guess the last time I flew visual, it was more or less fine, but especially when I'm in something a little faster like this, I tend to just completely overfly the airport and just completely lose situational awareness. Even if I've got something like 4 flight up, I'm still like, I don't know why, I don't have a good sense of where I'm at, and then it's like, oh, the airport is 1 mile in front of me and straight down, and I'm way too high and way too fast.
You'd have 576 Seattle Center,
And then you try flying circuits, which is flying the pattern aspect is not the best thing to do in a higher performance aircraft.
You'd have 576 cleared X Zubor.
That's pretty challenging. Anyway, so our plan B will be the RNAV, and then our plan C will be the localizer. But the RNAV's not bad. So the RNAV, you start out at red table,
Kremlin at about 14,000,
and
clear LDAD running 25.
basically if you have like a greater than like a 98 degree intercept to red table, you end up just flying a procedure turn to fly back inbound south over red table. And then you basically stay high for like a couple miles, and then over, Habib. Then you just start singing like a rock after the last ridge, which is a lot of fun. So I think the goal there, I believe, is, as I've seen it and as I've read about it, is you sort of arrive over red table when you're going southbound and you're on sort of your approach. The goal is to be essentially fully configured for landing over at red table. And that extra drag actually really helps you not pick up too much speed,
you can expect LS running 4.
given the descent rate.
Fuel tank switched.
You'd have 1982, turn off heading 180.
See, but I don't actually want you to go on the left tank. I want you to stay on the right tank for now. We'll just turn auto fuel off.
And you'd have 1982 on the 180 heading, intercept
That's fine with
the
me.
north bend 333 radial.
Anyway, so as long as we're not... No procedure turn for arrival on the red table VOR, airway radials 297, clockwise 020.
You'd have 576, roger, expect that.
And that'll definitely be us. So we won't have the procedure turn.
6,000.
So go red table Habib Alex down to Mafmu. And then if we don't have the airport, or we've just really royally screwed up here, we'll do a climbing right turn up to 14,000 feet and direct to Lindsay. And then from Lindsay, do a 247 track direct
You'd have 576, turn right, Pacific Rares.
and then we hold. We hold to the northwest of Gleno, outbound 247, inbound 67, left-hand turns.
Switching.
United 1982, cross Swabar at or above 6,000. Cleared VOR. DME runway 4 upward.
Cool. So like the RNAV, because it's not too complicated and you don't have to tune any radios, obviously. It's an RNAV. But the localizer is also pretty fun too, because you've got two localizers. You've got the Aspen localizer for your approach course, and then you've got the Pitkin County localizer that you use back course that gets you to Lindsay. So basically the localizer is sort of the same approach. So you intercept at, or so you start at the red table,
United 576 to
and then you
718,
fly
6,000.
southwest to intercept the localizer course, and then you just go down that way. And the missed approach is pretty similar. You just do a climbing right-hand turn to Lindsay, and then over to Gleno. You just navigate via the radios instead. Oh, you're out before the landing, Nick. Such a bummer.
United 576 cross
This approach is going to be really fun, but of course, as always, I'll chop it up and put it up separately so we can watch it. So we can relive the magic of a good old Aspen approach in the morning in the snow. Although we'll see if it's still snowing by the time we get there. We'll see how Xenviro does with that too. So I finally did reinstall Xenviro here.
American 188, turn left on Alpha 7, Alpha 0, remain this
And like so far, I don't know, so far I haven't really flown in like a lot of bad weather situations, and I think that's one of those are sort of the situations where Xenviro really shines, is when the weather's kind of crappy out. So I don't know, I haven't really gotten a whole lot out of it. But we'll see how it does. Of course, the little hazy stuff that it always does feels good. And it's nice to be able to sort of see cloud fronts like this that are relatively accurate to sort of what's going on in real life. They certainly behave more like, the weather behaves more like real world weather in that regard, where you see clouds over there and you fly over there, you've flown into the clouds. The default weather system is sort of more like, okay, you're in clear skies now. And then you get into a cloudy section, it's like, okay, now you're in a cloudy section. But like actually like seeing that come up doesn't really happen. You're just sort of in it or you're out of it. Yeah, let's see if we can get direct red table. Shave off a few minutes here. Salt Lake Center, Epic 401 tickets here. If it's possible, could we get direct red table?
November 1 Tango Sierra, clear direct red table.
Really appreciate it. Clear direct red table for 401 tickets here. That makes
American 250,
life
connect Eagle, Tower,
a
Land of
little
20.
easier.
American 250, Eagle Tower, wind 180 at 4, runway 25, clear to land, report Mushy.
So that saves us like 10 minutes. Which isn't much, but it's not nothing. Always appreciate a little bit of a shortcut. But we're getting there. Slowly but surely. Well, not that slowly. At least compared to what I'm used to. This is super quick. It's not as crazy as when did I do that? I think maybe a year ago, or it might have been at the beginning, because I want to say it was definitely winter time. Can't remember if it was winter of, but anyways, around a year ago, I did a series of sim ferry flights, and so I took, at the time I was really, I still really love it, but the Coronado Grand Caravan, the C208, the Cessna Grand Caravan is absolutely like one of my favorite planes in real life. I think it's a really wonderful aircraft, and it's a really, really fun one to fly. And so I simulated like a ferry flight from
Yeah, then
Providence,
576, reduce speed to
where
170.
I'm actually based, all the way up a northern route to Iceland, where I had just been previously, and just did a bunch of flying around in Iceland. And that was really, really exciting from like a flight planning perspective. That was really interesting. And then actually that was one of the really cool things about something like VATSIM is that I planned it out so that I had pretty good coverage. And so I had, I believe, at least center coverage out of Providence, and then had coverage pretty much all the way down when I was in Iceland too, which was really, really exciting. So I spent a lot of time learning about the Icelandic airspace and the procedures. I actually have a giant 6-foot by 4-foot laminated Iceland aeronautical chart. It's the March 2016 revision. That's actually hanging in my home office. And then I also had a couple different copies of the paper chart printed out. And so I spent a lot of time learning about the different types of airspace, planning out different flights. There's a lot of cool stuff that you can do, a lot of really cool locations that you can go. And then the VATSIM controller was actually really, really fantastic. And so that was really fun because it was fun to sort of switch from the standard, in my mind, American way of doing things, and then learning the different phraseology and different approach to navigation and stuff like that in Iceland. And so that's something I would love to do again, because that was really interesting and really challenging, and I'm sure I've probably forgotten maybe 25% of that information. That was really cool, and that's an example of a flight that I definitely would love to do in real life. I would love to hook up with a ferry pilot and fly on over to Iceland and then do a bunch of flying stuff there. There's actually an American expat couple that organize sort of flying adventures in Iceland. It's a really, really beautiful place, and it's really easy to fall in love with. So yeah, I'd love to go back there, and I'd love to go back there and do it in an airplane. That would definitely be fun. That's on the aviation bucket list. That Aspen's on there for sure.
Tango Sierra, connect Salt Lake Center, 127.7.
127.7 for 401 Tango Sierra. Salt Lake Center, Epic 401 Tango Sierra, flight level 270.
Number 401 Tango Sierra, Salt Lake, roger.
Cool,
Right,
checked
roger.
in. Let's see who's online right now. So there's that that flight that just went into Eagle. Let's see if there's anyone else. We're what, 65 minutes away from closing time. So let's put tracks on here. Yeah, so they landed. That was American 118 or 188. And then there's American 250, who is actually just arriving into Eagle. And they can just sort of watch his approach in here. He's coming over the east side, just south of Interstate 70. About to intersect Highway 6. Right into, man, I don't know Eagle very well, but right into the west-facing runway. So like 26 maybe. I suppose technically I can zoom in close enough to see it. 25. Other than that, once you go a little further west, so we're just out in the middle of nowhere here, just about to get into Utah. Looks like there are a couple people flying the LAX Vegas route. A couple people tooling around, well, more than a couple people, a handful of folks in the SoCal area, as there always are. And some stuff going on in the Pacific Northwest. A couple flights up there.
United 1982, roger, fly the power dismissed.
And that's pretty cool. And then there's someone going to Hawaii. Yep, someone left Phoenix for Honolulu. There's someone in Florida right now. And there's someone in a 172 that looks like they're in Rhode Island. Oh yeah, they're flying out of Martha's Vineyard. And maybe they're going into the Hyannis, maybe? They don't have a flight plan on file. So it is actually pretty happening on a early Saturday morning, late Friday night on Pilot Edge. A lot of stuff going on. Unfortunately, I think we are going to be all alone going into Aspen today. Which is okay. I think the approach alone is enough enough of a challenge for us.
Okay, roger. American 250, connect Denver Center now, 128.65.
Alright, slowly but surely equalizing our fuel tank levels here. Get rid of you, get rid of you, get rid of you.
American 250, Denver Center, roger, radar contact, and you want to retrain localizer DME echo, actually localize, yeah. LDA DME 25 or a different approach?
So I think by the time we get to Aspen, we're not going to be able to meet the weather minimums for the Roaring Fork visual, unfortunately. So I just sent the RNAV plate to the map on ForeFlight. Actually, that's one of the things that I haven't done yet, is setting up ForeFlight on OBS, being able to stream my iPad in. Because I think that's always interesting to see. What other...
536, connect North Pantera.
Do I have camera controls here? Alright, might get loud. I'm just going to run through the numpad here.
1982, connect Seattle Center, 121.4.
That's a nice view. Man, it's so shiny. Such a shiny plane. I feel like that might be new. It might be part of the update, adding in the is it performance-based shaders or something?
Running 4 approach this time.
Is that that new stuff in X-Plane 11 to make things really shiny and pretty? It looks great though. It's a very glossy plane. Anyway, so I sent the RNAV over to our map, and that's what we're going to plan on here.
United 1982, verify you're still flying the cloud dismissed. Okay, get out of
I actually forgot what category airplane we
are.
are.
Are you able to maintain your own extraction clearance?
Let me look that up. I forgot how those were defined.
Okay, get out of 1982, climb maintain 5,000 and maintain your own terrain obstruction clearance through 4,600.
Okay,
American
aircraft approach category.
American 250, so you're still looking for the LDA DME 25? American 250, roger, can expect that.
Categories. V or F of given aircraft at the maximum certificated landing weight. Okay. Yeah, so we're going to be category B.
American 250, I'll have you direct Kremlin here in about 20 miles.
Yeah, that makes sense.
United 1992, turn right heading 270.
Because we would be between 120 and 180 for initial approach, 85 and 130 for final approach.
United 576,
Max at around
verify, are you with
135.
North Pantera? Okay, switch to Terra, please.
Yeah, okay. So Bravo makes a lot of sense for this airport. So, given that, our minimums.
United
2,400
576, North Pantera, running
and
4, clear to
1
land,
and
then
3
advise when you break
quarters.
out. United 576,
And we have 2.5. And we have about 1,000-foot margin in terms of vertical visibility. So weather minimums are met for the RNAV approach, and so that is what we're going to bank on. I forgot, I feel like somewhere they have, there's like a menu for the different views, but I've completely forgotten how to do that, and I might be thinking now about,
United 1992, turn right heading 300, vector to final.
I might be thinking about the Challenger, because I remember the Challenger has some really nice views set up. But look,
American 189 clearance available.
fancy plane.
American 189, clear to the Dallas Fort Worth Airport, Cotton Boat 2 departure, Jesse intersection and asphalt, maintain 15,000. Departure frequency with Denver Center 128.65, squawk 7171.
It's definitely cozy, but it's well appointed. I appreciate that.
American 189, read back correct. United 1982, descend to maintain 4,000.
Alright, let's start doing a little bit of descent planning here. So we're at 27,000 feet. We need to get down to...
United 576, taxi run via Charlie Alpha.
I believe we want to be
cross
at
runway
13.7.
13 at Charlie. United 576, cross runway 13 at Charlie. Affirm.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. So, we're at 2.7, we're trying to get into 13,000, so that's a 15,000 foot differential. We've got...
United 1992, turn right heading 010, intercept runway 4 localizer.
Let's see, about 40 minutes. Is that right? Because we're, what, 275 miles away, roughly.
American 250, pursuit at Kremlin.
So, if we... yeah, that checks out. So, given that we've got 15,000 feet
American
to lose
United 1992, 12 miles
in
from
40 minutes,
and Miria, maintain 4,000 total
if
steps
we
to
were to
localizer.
start descending now,
Clear
that would
ILS,
be
runway
just
4.
375 feet per minute. But if we want to do 1,500 feet per minute descent, which I would love to do, that means when we're 10 minutes out from Red Table, we can go ahead and start descending. Maybe call it 15, just to be conservative, so we're not diving down too much, because 1,500 feet is, I don't know if I'd qualify that as aggressive, but it is certainly, it is a descent with a purpose. It's not just gently coming down there. Start seeing the clouds here on the right hand side. Those are pretty darn accurate compared to just looking at the satellite view. It's actually pretty impressive. Mountains doing mountain stuff.
United 1992, connect North Pantera. United 1992, connect North Pantera.
on my very small list of things that I'd like to look up here. I don't know what the E1000's glide performance is.
We had an 1822 Northmid
Really
Roger,
interested
wind
to see that.
1208, running 4, clear to land.
Because I don't know, I know that they were thinking of doing like a certified version, and then I don't know if the E1000 actually, did it come out? Let's see here. Configure. And what is its... Because there's like this whole thing with the company. So maximum glide ratio is 17.5. Is there a best glide speed? I mean, there it is. Pull the power to idle, feather the prop, and pitch for 130 knots. Okay, so I'll call it 130.
American 189. American 189, they go around to Roger, push out the Charlie is approved.
Okay, cool. The glide advisor in ForeFlight's pretty neat. And now I've got it all configured too. So if our engine was gonna fail, we would make a right-hand turn and just come into Salt Lake. We're actually really close to Salt Lake because we turned a little bit further south with that shortcut. So we could pretty easily make that with margin. To our east, we could theoretically get to Fort Bridger Springs. And we have a bunch of different options. But then we also have some rising terrain that sort of closes off one direction to the southeast. But there's not a lot of airports to the southeast, so that doesn't matter. Okay, so I said I wanted to start a descent 10 minutes before the red table VOR, 15, with a little bit of margin. So that's not going to be until about 100 miles until red table. So once that gets down to 100, we'll go ahead and ask for a descent if we haven't been given one. Looks like most of the weather's out of the area, which is great.
Unit 1982, Roger, taxi run via Charlie Alpha, cross running 13 at Alpha, correction at Charlie.
Cool, we're about 35 minutes out. We're almost there. Slowly but surely, we are getting to Aspen. And we're doing great on fuel. Well, I mean, we're doing as expected based on the fuel flow, but it feels like we're doing great considering I completely biffed up the loadout when we had to reload the plane. But that's fine. Not a problem at all. Oh, so it looks like, okay, so Epic Aircraft is now owned by a Russian company? Aircraft manufacturer headquartered in Bend, Oregon, is owned by the Russian company Engineering LLC. Engineering LLC, by the way, great name for a company. So it looks like they are still looking for certification just in 2018. Which is pretty cool. Oh, and apparently they have a twin jet called the Epic Elite. That looks fun.
American
And it's,
189,
yeah, just
182, taxi Alpha.
the same sort of fuselage, more or less, but with a couple little nice little engines. And that nose looks wicked. Yeah, that's a pretty aggressive looking airplane. The Epic Elite. Does it have the same nose as the Epic Victory? It looks like it has a much more aggressive nose, just very, very pointy. And I guess it is the same as the Victory. I'm just used to the big jutty outy thing on the E1000.
November 1 Tango Sierra Connect
Because of
Center
engine stuff.
195.
19905 401 Tango Sierra. Salt Lake Center Epic 401 Tango Sierra, flight level 270.
November 401 Tango Sierra, Salt Lake Center, roger.
Ooh, thank you to the 7 people that are sticking with me here. I know it's late. It's crazy late. I gotta get to sleep at some point. At some point we'll get to sleep. Cause I was traveling most of this week. I was in Florida for work. And by the time I got back, I was so focused on all the stuff that had to happen once I got back today at the office that I completely forgot that today was Friday and it is the weekend. Which probably means that I'm not going to do anything this weekend, which is a little bit of a bummer, but also probably okay, because after traveling and being cold season, everyone in the office is sick, I'm feeling pretty crappy. See what's going on here. So many things to do. Yeah, I'll probably have a quiet weekend in. I was kind of thinking of going crazy and driving up north to the mountains in New Hampshire. But I think I'm probably going to be, I think I don't have enough energy to really do that. I think I have enough energy to get out there and be really, really happy. And then I think on the drive home I would just be extremely miserable. Because I love driving, but I just not quite there this weekend. But I have Movie Pass, so maybe I'll see some movies. I heard Murder on the Orient Express is pretty mediocre, but the great thing about something like Movie Pass is that you can watch mediocre movies and not feel bad about it at all. Alright, where are we at now? So we did about 50 miles since I last checked in here. So we're at 195 now. So like 15 minutes or so. Even less than that, probably like 10 minutes, and we'll start getting down. Still got some... Oh, I think there might be some bad mesh data. Perhaps. Or maybe the geography in Colorado got really, really strange all of a sudden. I guess we're not technically in Colorado yet. I think we're still in Idaho. We're still in Utah.
But
Alright.
1101110,000 Connect Denver Center.
I guess at some point I gotta track down exactly what that is. Let me take a screenshot of ForeFlight so I can figure out where that is. That's always fun. I feel like I've been surprisingly lucky. Usually when ortho or mesh or something is screwed up for me, it's usually right after an install. And it's usually really screwed up, you can tell right away. But always fun to see random little artifacts like that. Quick map update here. See what's going on. Answer is not a whole lot.
American 189 Denver Center, radar contact, climb and maintain flight level 260.
Well, our speed's going to pick up as we descend here, so I'm going to go ahead and request lower. Salt Lake Center, Epic 401 Tango Sierra, we'd like lower if that's possible.
November 401 Tango Sierra, Roger. If you want to start your descent now, you're still 160 miles from the airport, so it's too early. So if you want lower, just what altitude would you like?
Okay, yeah, we were looking to start a descent, even though it's a little ahead of time. So can we just give you a call in 10 minutes?
November 1 Tango Sierra, Roger. I can give you lower if you like, but just tell me what altitude you would like.
Yeah, if we can head to 15, we'd appreciate it for 4016 Sierra.
Yeah, probably can't give you as low as that.
Okay, we'll just go ahead and call for descent in about 10 when we're a little closer.
Roger.
Is there a terrain that we can't get around? Why can't he do 15? What's my... Oh, well, I'm not an airway, so there's not a MEA, but I'm sure there's a MVA for him. Well, that's only 10,000 feet over there. What's my terrain here? Look at the profile on the ForeFlight. Yeah, highest point is what? 12,300? That's fine. I'm just getting antsy. Get there, itis. We'll call for descent in 10 or so. Because I know we're 160 miles out, but we can also really pick up the speed in the descent because this airplane's slippery. So we'll see about that. Man, I don't know why I picked now to just triage a bunch of email. It seems like a really bad idea. What a way to kill my mood. Look at a bunch of work stuff. Scary to you. Scary to you. That was a big beep. What happened there? It's not a good beep. That's my APC. Or my UPS, which is not made by APC. I've got a CyberPower UPS. Why did you beep? I think we're okay. My lights are still on, which is good. But that's like one of the, obviously, like, it's great to have a UPS, but because so much of my hardware in my office runs off of it, when the power, very rarely, but when the power does go out, it usually takes me a second to notice, because the only thing that's actually not hooked up through the UPS really is the like the overhead lights. Everything else is hooked up to an APS or UPS. But every now and then there'll be a little power fluctuation and it'll beep at me really angrily. It gets me really scared that power went out. Because even though all my computer stuff might continue to work, the internet sure as hell won't. Alright. I mean, we're still 150 miles out, but we're also only 20 miles out. Or, sorry, 20 minutes out. So, we'll still wait and be good followers of instruction. But then we'll finally get down and we'll see how we do. Aspen's always fun. This airplane's always fun. luckily, like, this airplane is super docile. I mean, it's really easy to fly. But one thing I should definitely do is review my approach speeds here. So, we want to keep airspeed under 270 indicated, all the way down, under 250, under 10,000 feet. Obviously, although we're not going to be under
American
10,000
189,
feet
connect Denver Center 132.85.
until after Red Table.
Connect
oh
Denver Center
man, you know what I did do?
132.85.
That's a sloppy mistake there. You never set standard altimeter in the Bonanza. You can't get that
American 189,
high.
Denver Center, common maintain flight level 350.
Cool, and then so we're looking for final approach speed of
November 1 Tango
95
Sierra,
knots.
connect Denver Center 134.5.
34.5 for 401 Tango Sierra. Denver Center, Epic 401 Tango Sierra, flight level 270.
River 401 Tango Sierra, Denver Center, roger.
And now that our
Fuel tank switched.
tanks are balanced out, I'll turn the auto fuel selector on. It automatically switches to the left tank, which is the most full tank, and hopefully that'll work. 120.4. Grab the weather real quick. Not receiving yet. Let's see if there is an update. They went IFR again. Nuts. Alright. So their winds are 260, 9 to 15 knots. Visibility 1.5 square miles. I believe that does disqualify us because we need 1 3/4. Clouds are few at 500, overcast 1900, weather is light snow. Temperatures 3007, temperatures -2 or -4, 2 points -7. Ugh, that's rough. Alright. Well, we'll see. We'll see what the ATIS says. If we can get above 1 3/4, we can get in.
American 189, roger. Frequency change approved.
Even the overcast is... no, the overcast is also limiting as well. Because we need 2400. So they're pretty well socked in. So, see, how do we want to do that? When did that weather update came out? That weather came... It was 13 minutes ago. So that's pretty up to date. It's definitely a real bummer. So I guess we'll give it a go. So we'll get to Red Table. We'll see what the weather's doing. If we feel good about it, we'll continue. And we'll see. The most important thing is what the sim is actually spitting out. So once we receive the ATIS, we'll have a better idea of exactly what's going on the ground, and we'll figure out whether or not we actually want to shoot that approach or head on over to Denver. We'll probably shoot the approach anyways, just to be, well, if it's below minimums, we're really not going to do that. But we'll make that decision closer to Red Table VOR. anyways, this should be interesting, I guess. That's good. Interesting is appreciated. So let's go ahead and plan that. So our filed alternate was Denver, because I wasn't really expecting to need it necessarily. Eagle's also right there. We could do that. We could divert to Eagle. So what does that look like? Let me just look at what the Eagle weather is. Eagle's reporting VFR. What does that actually mean? Winds 320 at 3, visibility 10. That's impressive. Clouds, few 300, broken 6,000, overcast 9,000. That's great. So the weather at Eagle is just wonderful. The weather at Aspen just sucks real bad. Visibility just went up. Visibility went up to 2 miles. And overcast 2,700. Okay, well we're above minimums there. Cool. Okay, well that's great. Thank you for that last minute weather update. And then we'll of course check in as soon as we're receiving it as we're monitoring COM2, but we got nothing so far. About 15 away from red table. Let's go ahead and ask for lower. Denver Center, Epic 401, Tango Sierra, request lower. That echo was awful.
Remember 401 Tango Sierra, descend to maintain 17,000, Aspen altimeter 3008.
17,000 and 3008 on the altimeter for Epic 401 Tango Sierra. Thanks. And away we go. So it looks like we're just going to squeak into Aspen, which is great. And if we can't, we'll do Eagle. And I suppose worst case we can do Denver if we have to, but we shouldn't because Eagle apparently is just having miraculously lovely weather this evening. Yeah, it looks like we're just going to sort of make it in right between two small little snow squalls. Although I don't know how accurate radar coverage really is out there. Yeah, winds are now 270, 7 to 15, 250 to 310. Okay, so winds are variable, 250 to 310, 7 to 15 knots. All right. As soon as we talk to approach, we'll go ahead and request the RNAV. And then we'll go ahead and plug that in here. That's the other great thing about this. You can throw in approaches really, really nicely. Oh man, looks like we're... So the downside of my shortcut is now we're coming in literally just like 2 degrees outside of the range of not needing to do a procedure turn. So that's a little annoying. But that's fine. Not a big deal. I suppose we could ask for direct Ajax and avoid the procedure turn, but I don't mind flying a procedure turn. That sounds like a fun thing to do. Right, I'm just watching our speed here. Try and stay under 270. At this point I will go full prop. Descent. Landing lights can also come on at this time. Igniter's gonna come on. I mean, that's pretty early, but that's fine. Rather do it early than forget to do it, which is always a risk. Coming into some lovely, lovely clouds here. Oh, hey there, frame rate. You're not too happy. All these clouds are stressing you out. What are we pulling? 25? 30? Whoa. Didn't like that. Didn't like that at all. I guess I have some tweaking to do on the X-Devour front. That's the funny thing, you know, I'm running like an 1800X CPU, but I still have a 1060. So it's not the beefiest graphics setup in the world. So that's definitely our bottleneck right now, which is a fine bottleneck to have. I'm really happy overall with the performance of this. As we get into the moisture here, one thing we do need to watch out for is icing. It's currently negative 25 up here.
Consider United 893 level 330.
United 893, Oakland Center, squawk 3353.
No weather on the radar as of yet.
3353, ident.
Approaching altitude.
1,000 feet to go. About 10 minutes out from the airport now. I believe approach is 1, 2, 3, 8. Nailed it. And we're a little fast, but we're also leveling off. So I'll take it.
United
That
893, right to
level
contact
off
15
was
miles southwest of the Fort Jones viewer.
not well executed. Although I guess it's my fault. I think you know the autopilot really just loses its cool when you're in the yellow. Really doesn't know how to act. Which is fine. Alright. Skimming on top of the clouds here. This probably looks great from the exterior view. Right, getting loud-ish. Less cool than I thought. we're not that close to the cloud. Oh, well, that's fun. Oh god, that's actually really not great turbulence there, is it? It's pretty nasty. Jeez. I wasn't really necessarily thinking that was going to be such a problem. At least visibility is good. Man, hopefully that's not indicative of how things are going to go closer to the ground. It's weird. Winds are like more or less calm up here, which doesn't seem quite right.
Fuel tank switched.
Yeah, this is nasty. I would definitely call this one moderate. I know it's always hard to tell in the sim. This is pretty good. Hey, it's smoothed out. Thank goodness. We're just about to get just barely in glide distance of the airport. Although,
Remember 110 Sierra, connect Aspen approach 123.8.
Over to approach for 401 Tango Sierra, Select. You have to be pretty lucky to make that. That would be pretty gnarly. Aspen approach, good evening, Epic 401 Tango Sierra, 17,000 with the weather, and we'd like the to request the RNAV if that's possible in Aspen. Probably shouldn't have requested that at the check-in, but
401 Tango
it's
Sierra,
late.
Aspen approach, expect RNAV Foxtrot approach, and descend to maintain 14,000.
14,000, we'll expect the RNAV Foxtrot for 401 Tango Sierra, thank you. Alright, we're getting there. Getting down slowly but surely. We are expecting the RNAV Foxtrot, so we'll go ahead and program that in, and we're down to 14,000 feet. Not 140 feet. You goober. And there comes the turbulence again. Slightly less crazy rate of descent here. And I've got a TCAS target. Watch out for him. Alright, let's program this approach really quick. So, no arrival, RNAV 15 Foxtrot. No star. Starting at Red Table VR. So we're basically gonna have to hook like a... Yeah, it's gonna kind of suck. It's fine. The procedure turn's gonna be a little... Take down my power. Less speed is more time, and more time is appreciated. And then we're going to go ahead and do the procedure turn. So we intercept here.
November 1 Tango Sierra, cross red table, under above 13,700, clear Darnot Foxtrot approach.
Alright, we're going to cross red table, under above 13,700, clear on the RNAV Foxtrot, and just to clarify, we're planning on doing the procedure turn for the RNAV.
1 Tango Sierra, affirmative. If you'd like to do the procedure turn, that's okay with me, yeah, otherwise you can do the straight in.
Okay, great. We'll plan on doing the straight in. So we'll do the straight in, cleared on the RNAV Foxtrot, cross DBL at 13,700 or above for 401 Tango Sierra.
1 Tango Sierra, roger.
That makes life easier. Cool. HEPEP 12,900. And this is where things start happening fast. So let's see how well I can keep up.
Approaching waypoint.
It's a little divey.
Approaching altitude.
Anyways, let's go ahead and throw our
Gear down.
gear and our first notch of flaps and our second notch of flaps. Landing lights are on. Ba 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 ba. We'll put our inertial separator on as well. So we're going into some soupy soup. There's on. Cool. Well, I guess it looks like we can see some stuff.
November
So that's cool.
401 Tango Sierra, connect Aspen, tower 118.85.
11885 for 401 Tango Sierra. That wasn't great. Energy management. Aspen Tower, Epic 401 Tango Sierra on the RNAV Foxtrot, runway 15.
Number 401 Tango Sierra, Aspen Tower, wind variable at 6, runway 15, clear the line.
15, clear the line, Epic 401 Tango Sierra. Alright, watching my speed here. We've crossed HEPEP, we need to be Alex at 12,200. So let's just vertical speed down. Why won't you let me get into vertical speed mode? Arm the approach. Right. I like to sort of pretend like I'm not cheating here. Where's my minimums? So 10,200 is when we're gonna pop out here.
Approaching
Make our
waypoint.
go no go. I don't know why I can't set it. Oh well. Alright, let's see where we're at. Yeah, we're definitely high. Okay.
Autopilot disconnect.
Completely fixable. Yeah, I don't know if we ever caught the glide slope there. I don't think we did. I don't have glide slope, but I think we were always above it. That's fine. Let's trim this out. There we go. Aim it for about 95. A little low. Just give it a little hint of power here. Probably a little wind shift there. A little bit more power. Yeah, it's feeling better. Cool.
United 893 descent via the Bodega 2 arrival, San Francisco altimeter 3020.
1000. 500. 500. 400.
You can go off.
300. 400. 300. 200. 100. 50.
Low.
40, 30, 20, 10.
That was a little hard. It was fine. Call it firm. Center line, center line, center line, please. Thank you. I actually don't have reverse thrust set up on my any of my controls right now because I'm set up for the Bonanza. That's fine, we don't need it. Flaps come up. Landing lights off. Hey, we made it in one piece.
Remember 1 Tango Sierra taxi to ramp via Alpha remains frequency.
Ramp via Alpha with you, 401 Tango Sierra. Thanks. Hey there, Mr. Bus. Gonna sneak past you. All of the vehicles here I feel like are going real quick. It's giving me anxiety. It's like there's more vehicles than planes that are out in the tarmac here. Parked next to this Lear. Cool. Alright. Parking brake. Cool. Alright, that's it. Alright, that was midfield to Aspen. Pretty successful flight. 33 gallons of fuel. So our fuel burn was a little higher than expected, but not by much. Cool. Thanks everyone for joining in. That was fun. See you next time.